EnterTalk Radio, your in to all things music.
Welcome to Sharpen the Axe. Explore the bleeding edge of guitar and bass gear. Discover a sound uniquely your own and cut through the noise. With your hosts, Eric Lucero and Paul Berezetsky.
All right. Hey, guys, welcome to Sharpen the Axe. I am Eric. Paul's with us.
I'm Paul.
And today we have with us Kevin Proctor of Iconic Custom Guitars. What's up, Kevin?
Hey, how you guys doing? Thanks for having me here. I appreciate it.
Oh, anytime, man. So you are a local San Diego, well, Escondido, technically, right?
Yeah, North County. Lived in Ramona for a while. Lived here, Mission Valley, San Diego proper for a bit. But yeah, San Diego-ish.
All neighborhoods of San Diego.
Right.
Local bass luthier who has this badass brand, Iconic Custom. Now, to start with, Kevin, why don't you tell us about your history as a luthier? You know, what inspired you to start building instruments in the first place?
You know, I guess you'd say that necessity is the mother of all invention. You know, so I have as my dad used to say, a beer budget and champagne taste. You know, so I've always been really intrigued by fine quality crafted instruments, and to be quite honest, my budget just wouldn't allow for it. So I started toying around a bit in the kind of the aftermarket, the Warmoths, the USA custom guitars, stuff like that, kind of the BYO guitar stuff. And I really had a good time doing that and made some good friends doing that. And one of the guys said, you know what, why don't you just do your own, because we're really literally, and you can build fantastic guitars from any of those. I've played some of the most kick-ass guitars, from a couple of those companies that I mentioned. But, and moving on from that, wanting to get into the business of guitar making, manufacturing, whatever you'd like to call it, was really at the suggestion of some of the guys that helped me with those first ones where I really didn't have any idea what I was doing.
Oh wow!
You can certainly throw screws and holes and pick guards and whatever, but to kind of put it together as a cohesive package where it really turns into that something special when somebody picks it up and they go, "Wow, dude."
Right. Yeah.
That thing is something that I feel we've crafted some really magic kind of hocus pocus in there, if you will. But yeah, the inspiration really is to just be able to play some really really killer guitars. And selfishly, that's what I did. I told my wife at the time, I said, "What's the worst thing? I'm going to end up with 30 or 40 super killer guitars."
Right? Yeah. Nothing wrong with that, man. Nothing.
So you can imagine that as I keep buying, ordering guitar hooks for the walls, and more end up hanging on the wall. Are you going to sell one of these? No, I just kind of like them.
Yeah. To the point where you don't see paint on the walls, it's just going to cover them, right?
Yeah, and I have no problem with that. So, but really. As a company, it's to kind of stay true to the tried and tested things. So we do a lot of vintage inspired pieces. Here again, we're not reinventing the wheel, just putting a little air in the tire.
Yeah.
So we've taken some of those designs and some of the things that we've found, through playing and listening and playing other guitars that are kind of work really well, and we do those things and have had a really good response.
Right. And is there any particular designer, Fender, Ted McCarty, that in any particular case that really pushed you, like, I love what he created, I want to take that influence on me and run with it?
For me, I think anybody in the guitar world, if you're not paying homage in some respects, even McCarty's, to a Leo or Gibson, models from your, all the way back to mandolins and things like that, you're really. If you look at designs, nobody's really strayed too far from convention. I mean, certainly there are those guys, the BC Riches and those other designs. Yeah. But even Explorers and those kind, V's, those are pretty odd shapes for back in the '60s and '50s and stuff like that. But world kind of revolves around those shapes, those classic shapes, those Les Paul shapes, those Strat, Tellys, and the variations thereof. So and we do the same thing. For me, I look at the music that I was exposed to growing up. That my uncles, my dad, my grandparents, all that kind of listened to, and there was a very kind of recurring theme in there, and it's Stratocaster style guitars, and then having spent some time growing up in Texas, and seeing Waylon and Willie, the old original Outlaws, and you can't get away from that Telecaster sound, so I'm really drawn to that as well, and being the age that I am, in my mid 40s now, I grew up in the hot rod era of guitars, with the likes of the Van Halens, and moving on into like some of the stuff we were talking about earlier, like George Lynch, Warren DeMartini, these kind of guitar players that took playing and the guitars themselves to a different level, and then to see somebody here, just to throw another name out there, that would take a vintage piece and just totally maul it like Yngwie.
Yeah. Yeah.
And so those things, growing up for me, seeing a guy like Yngwie playing a Strat when they were,
or even Richie Blackmore.
You always hear like, I learned Smoke on the Water. Like, really? Play me the solo.
Not just the opening
I
riff.
can't play it, and I've been playing for a long stinking time. But yeah, for sure, I would totally agree with that. Those things, and just to capture that essence, and to be able to carry that the torch of tradition. Now, certainly, Fender as a company is still doing that. All respect in the world to them. They have a very small portion of their workforce that does, what I would say the equivalent work to what we're doing, the custom shop guitars. Where it's a bunch of skilled hands that are doing it, a little bit less of the factory thing, and there still is that. It is a lot of meticulous. We've got to put this screw right where it goes and that kind of stuff. But by and large, I feel like we're able to capture that essence in our vintage inspired pieces, and then as my business has gone, we're our middle kind of the road guitars are our evolution guitars. They're that next step. So we've got the vintage inspired, the kind of 80s, if you will, inspired what we call the SD line or the SoCal models from that period of time. I was talking about 70s and 80s, and then the evolution, a little bit more modern wiring, modern switching, fretboards, a little bit more radius, flatter radius, compounds, all that kind of good stuff. So,
and that's the Evolution series, which is something that's coming up, right?
Yeah, we've got a whole bunch of those in the works right now, and a lot of those are going to be coming in kind of a splash. We'll be introducing those at NAMM.
Awesome.
So we're really excited about that. This will be our first time exhibiting there, and I wanted to be able to make a statement. So a lot of the stuff we're doing is 5A and beyond. Just beautiful, to use, Paul's 10 tops, but, and I often joke that, these are 11 tops. Why don't you just make them, 10 and make that better? No, these ones go to 11, man. They're just really, really cool.
And you were showing me some pictures on your phone of some of the ones that are coming up for NAMM, and my jaw dropped. The beautiful quilt and flame maple tops that our listeners will be stoked to see come NAMM time. But you have a couple different series of guitars, so could you give us a rundown of the main features of each of your series? Yeah, sure. So for me, it started off with the very first one, which I brought with me today, is it's Kevin's guitar. It'll probably probably have to have my coffin a little bit enlarged so it can lie with me. But a huge influence in my playing has always been David Gilmour. Probably not one of the most technically proficient guys, but boy, can he say more with a handful of notes than just about any guitar player out there.
For sure.
And one of my dad's favorite bands, so here again, always on the big console, stereo back at the house when I was a kid, some Pink Floyd. So, one of the guitars that, really guitarist that inspired me to play. So the very first guitar that I did as my own was, in homage to David Gilmour, what we call our dark side. And that was kind of the onset of what now has kind of morphed into our vintage inspired line. So we do the vintage S and the vintage T guitars. Obviously, those are Strat and Telly shaped guitars. Fender retains all copyrights.
Trademarked, copyrighted.
Right. Yeah. And here again, I'm not trying to steal their thunder. We're very small, but that we're doing something a little bit beyond what they're doing. So that vintage line includes some artist things, and kind of how that's going to go is I'm going to continually rotate those artist models. We may do a run of like we do the Sultan, which is obviously a nod to Mark Knopfler.
Which we got one here.
Yep, we brought one today. We've got what else do we bring with? We brought a Texas Flood, and here again, Stevie Ray Vaughan, huge influence on. If you're a guitar player and you don't like Stevie, I'd have to worry about you just a little bit. Here again, a master of the pentatonic and just being able to really make the guitar sing, as he does in so many songs.
And also master command over 13 to 56 gauge strings and playing like that.
Behind the back.
Right?
Yeah, right, on top of it.
Yeah, and just bloody fingers and to boot. But yeah, so we brought one of those, and then what else do we have behind us here?
We have
we got the Dark Side, the number one. But I've also brought, which kind of bridges the gap, if you will, between that Evolution series, which is kind of like the newer style of those same tried and true shapes. But here again, with a little bit more modern fret size, flatter radius. I do a 10 to 14 compound radius on those. With 047 by 104 frets, Jeskars for you nerds out there that get into that kind of stuff. But that's a really, really nice playing guitar, and we do those ones in a handful of back profiles that are kind of in the drop downs on our website there. But and then so we here again, just to kind of backtrack, we've got the vintage inspired pieces, and then we do the SoCal series, which includes the SDs and a kind of a soloist model. Then we move into the Evolution models, which are here again 22 frets and a little bit more modern. And we have the Evolution Limiteds. And we do limiteds in several of them, and the limited is basically going to get you that super grade A, 5A fancy top, whether it be a flame or a quilt maple, or we may do some koas and stuff down the way.
Really?
We've been toying around with some stuff, and who knows, you might see something at NAMM that'll blow your socks off in a more exotic wood.
Coming up quick here.
Yes, yeah. Good. So I told Eric on the way in, I go, I was literally had to take the blower from the shop and blow the sawdust off me and jump in the car and get over here. It's just all of a sudden I looked at the clock and here we are. But super excited to show our wares over there.
Yeah, absolutely. And you guys are going to be teaming up with
Kevin Henretta from Henretta Engineering and Bruce Clement from BC Audio. Amp manufacturer out of the Bay Area. So he's going to be showing. He's got a octal preamp tube. So basically using power tubes in the preamp section of a JTM style. Super excited. I'm trying to get one down here just because I'm kind of a gear hoarder myself. So.
Yeah. Are you telling me that I could potentially one day have a preamp with KT88s in it and just fry the hell out of my audience?
Yes.
That would make me so happy.
Melting faces.
I am happy hearing that.
Yeah, so check out it's bcaudio.com. We're really, really pleased to be boothing partners with them, as well as Kevin Henretta. And Kevin's getting a super cool board that I'm going to have here. We're going to try to get some demos with a handful of guitars, in our off hours at 2 or 3 o'clock in the morning. Film some videos and get those up for demos prior to NAMM as well.
Now, for our bassists out there, you are actually working on a line of basses. Can you tell us about what's going to come on that side of things?
Almost ready to go. If we would have done this maybe next week, I could have had the P inspired. So we're doing some P and J's, and right now the 4 and 5 string Ps are nearing completion. Getting wired up and final assembly and frets dressed and all that good stuff. Then the 4 strings right behind it, it's in finish, and when we do on those vintage, one of the things I didn't mention on all the vintage inspired guitars, they're all nitro. It's nitrocellulose lacquer, and it is literally painful waiting for paint to dry. So and especially if we get into what we had several weeks ago, where we get a little bit of moisture in the air and then it kind of slows out at cooler temps, and then I love it when it's 100 degrees in November. That kind of gets the process going. But Paul, one of our guys who does a bunch of our nitro finishes, is just the greatest guy in the world, and big shout out to him. I love that guy to death.
Oh, and I also thought I saw on your website you are going to have some J-styles down the line?
Yeah, we've got the J-style, and then at some point, it's already kind of done. Designs are done. We're going to do a PJ.
Oh, rad.
Yeah, so...
very popular these days.
But, yeah, with us, it's... we're a small company, so being able to introduce new products in any business, whether it's mine, any, effects, anything like that, it's a huge expenditure, so that's... I've got a, I don't know, I'd say maybe a 30 burner commercial stove. So it's on one of my back burners right now.
Oh, right. Nice, on one of the corner ones up there.
Yeah, just simmering.
So are people going to be able to check out the bases as well as the evolutions at NAMM?
Yeah, we'll have the bases completed for NAMM. Hopefully, we'll have at least one at the booth there, and depending on how things go, there's some talks going where we may be staged at another bass amplifier booth.
Oh, rad. Cool.
So we'll see how that goes. A little bit preliminary to make any announcement on that yet.
Right on. Yeah, no worries. Now, when anyone orders a guitar from you, you can get it NOS or really Relic. Can you explain like what people can order from you in terms of how they want their finish done?
Sure. Obviously, what I guess going on 20 years now, we've been in this Relic guitar craze, and I dig it, man. I mean, I think it's cool that you can play a guitar that looks like it's been around, and some people, it's one of those things where you can put that question to them. Hey, do you like Relic guitars? And you'll just split down the middle. Yeah. I happen to be a guy who likes it, which is one of the reasons that we do it. And the reasons for not liking it, I don't really know. Certainly, it's a bit of a faux, but hey, I also wear pre-washed Levi's. So forgive me. Forgive me from wearing my relic Levi's. Right? I don't dig that heavy duty blue denim. But so we do the new old stock, which is a nitro finish, and this is strictly talking in the vintage inspired, which is the artist models. And the 57 HR, 62 and 62 HRs. So in those guitars are obviously inspired by those model years. But we do the new old stock, which is a nitrocellulose finish, and then we do the vintage finish, which is just a very tasteful amount of relicing on the body, neck, hardware. Just so it looks like a piece that's been around for 45, 50, maybe 60 years. And then we do the full-on artist, depending on, what guitar it is. But, on the 57s and 62s, we do those in new old stock and vintage. So it would be a special request to do a super beat-up one because the way we do it, it's really time-consuming. And we have received some of the best praise from people I really respect in this industry that about our relic jobs, about how accurate and how good they look, and so that's really cool. And I've seen some that look a little bit less than authentic. And that's really the thing is I try to say, if I was hammering this guitar night after night, 250, 300 nights a year, blood, sweat, and tears, making my living on it, how would it wear? And for my company, we start with a perfect guitar and then trash it, literally, so it's relic, and
is there any job openings for doing that? That sounds like fun.
Right. So you get to drive the truck around the shop, just dragging the bodies behind. But and much to the behest of Paul, our painter, he's like, yeah, you're going to take another one of my fantastic paint jobs and beat the crap out of it. But yeah, that's really how we do it. And, like I say, so on the artist series, you're going to get that. It's going to be a faithful representation. Like if you're getting the Dark Side guitar, it's gonna look a lot like
I never looked at it, the real one, that closely. It's got that. It looks like it was painted red and then painted over black, and then that
Fender back in the day. So you got to remember, Leo Fender was not a guitar player, number one, but he was also a pretty shrewd businessman. So if you had a burst that didn't quite cut the mustard, for production. It was say a second or whatever.
Just paint on
it
top
just
of it.
got scuffed and just painted over, Or if you had, 10 bursts sitting on the wall, which was a standard color, and like blacks and those were special orders, So if you had that sitting on the wall, you go, hey, I've got, Joe Blow ordered a guitar, and we don't have any black guitars, so scuff that one up and paint it black and ship it. So the guitar that David Gilmour plays, his famous black Strat, is a burst under black.
Oh wow!
And so this one is that. The only thing we didn't do on this one that the original has that this one doesn't is route it for a Kaler and then fill it with mud. and then paint over it. So everything else about the guitar is pretty accurate to as far as switching, pickup tones, those types of things.
And you also do the Crazy Diamond still, right?
Absolutely. Yeah, that's a really good guitar for us, and one of my favorite guitars that we make to play, tonally wise. I mean, as far as Stratocaster style guitars go, it's just a swamp ash body with Rob Timmons from Arcane Incorporated does some really, really cool 54 prototype style pickups for us.
Oh, rad.
With Alnico 3 magnets rather than the typical voicing of an Alnico 5 in a what you'd get in pretty much any Strat guitar from the 50s on up.
Yeah.
Just with the ash and the Alnico 3s and and maybe it has that the aluminum pickguard. It's just the whole thing together is a really cool animal.
And I've had some people call into Pitbull Audio about it. It's very popular. People are checking it out. Which by the way, I should mention we have at Pitbull Audio a Dark Side, the Crazy Diamond I just mentioned, and a Texas Flood. That one's out on the floor and has such an awesome relic finish on it. I love that one.
That's one of those guys. We were talking about that earlier. That's one of those guitars that when I got it done, I just held it in my hands and go, yeah, this is the one. It's got the sound, it's got the look, it's got the feel. When you plug it in, it's inspiring to play, and that's really kind of the essence of what I wanted to create as a guitar company is, inspiring musicians to play, guitars inspired to inspire kind of thing. You know? And, so I certainly, take that with everything that I do, being the figurehead of the company. I certainly don't do this alone, but, with guitars, I have played some guitars that had a fantastically high price tag on them. And I was less than inspired. And by no means am I the most awesome guitar player you're ever going to hear. Very utilitarian, But at the same time, for me, even as a poor, great, whatever guitar player you want to say, when I get a nice guitar in my hand, I feel like I can do things I shouldn't be doing. And sometimes, sometimes I'm like, best. I'm even amazing myself. Like even I did it before. I was grabbing all kinds of pinch harmonics and third fret.
SD3 there,
yeah. And it lets you do that thing, So when a guitar can inspire you to be a better player and create, that's when you've got something in your hands.
Yeah, for sure. Absolutely. It makes you want to practice more, makes you want to try something new.
Absolutely.
Good and inspiring. Since we're mentioning some of the pickups, tell us about the pickup options that come in your instruments and who you're working with.
I tend to work with a handful of guys who I've grown over the past few years to number one, just have an incredible amount of respect for what they do, and we talked about this a little bit earlier as well, is being able to take the words that are coming out of my mouth, the adjectives that I'm trying to describe sound to them, and be able to say, okay, yeah, I know exactly what you're talking about, that, and turn around and hand wind a pickup, and then we put it in the guitar, and it's like, yeah, that is it. So one of those guys that does this, religiously for me is Rob Timmons from Arcane Incorporated out of North Hollywood. And I always say, to people, they're like, oh, I've never heard of him. I go, Rob is the pickup winder of the stars. He does so many guys' pickups. He's kind of like one of these unsung heroes, in my opinion, but one of the coolest guys you'll ever talk to. And I called him up on the whim the other day. He was doing a pickup for me, and I'm like, "Hey, Rob, would you do this 5-string P bass pickup for me?" He's, "Yeah, I think. Let me look around. I'll be right back." So he goes and made sure he had the stuff to do it.
Yeah.
And almost, I believe the pickup shipped the next day. I mean,
Wow.
you just don't get that.
That quick?
Yeah, it was crazy. It might have been the day after, but it was that within like, and next thing you know, the FedEx guy or whatever is USPS. I can't remember how it got there, but I was like, holy crap, this thing's here already. So yeah, it's those kind of things. And then I work with David Allen quite a bit, who is very much the same kind of way. You know, when you can spend an hour, 2 hours on a phone with a fella, you know, BSing about guitars and sound and what have you, and then all of a sudden, you get a shipment of stuff and you drop it in the guitar and you're just like, yeah, that's doing exactly what I want. And then we've got a big bunch of Jason Lawler's pickups coming out. On this next Evolution Limited series that we're doing. Super excited to have. We're doing those everything in every configuration from HSS, HSH, HH, single humbucker, double humbucker tellies.
Nice.
We're also, single tellies. Yeah, so a bunch of stuff we've got in the works right now, and we'll be launching those at NAMM. So
nice.
Check our Instagram and Facebook. I can't wait. I'm like a kid at Christmas, man. We've got stuff in the booth right now, so I'll be putting some more pictures of those pictures I was showing you earlier. So yeah, really, really neat stuff coming up.
And it's, if I got it right, if you guys want to check it out on Instagram, it's at iconic_custom_guitars, right?
Yes.
Awesome.
Yeah, so in me, the slightly technology challenge dude, I've had to force myself to become, the guy who maintains that Instagram and maintains the Facebook and, updates the website. And it really is, hey, well, here again, it's the way we advertise these days. So it's been grand for me. I get a lot of great comments. And it always amazes me, the folks that'll take a couple minutes out of their day to say kind things. But it amazes me even more that somebody would stop by and just say some rude things.
Yeah, the B side, that backhand of the internet. You can't stop the trolls, unfortunately.
Yeah, they're the keyboard warriors, and but. But what have you? It's the response to our to our guitars and hopefully our basses. I mean, I play bass as well, and I got that 5-string in my hand. I'm like, oh man, I can't wait to get this thing finished.
I cannot wait to check out the PJs, man, when they come around. I'm stoked to see them.
Hopefully we can knock that out in the first quarter.
Right on. One thing I wanted to touch on is when I get customers in the store, walk-ins, they look at all these higher priced, I should say, guitars on the walls we have, be it Iconic or Sir or Mayonis or Scrivenson, whoever we have, and they just kind of give that look of just, why does it have to cost so much? Why do I have to pay, however many thousands for an instrument? Can you just touch on why it is, it's worth its value? Absolutely.
One of the things, that... obviously we live in a world economy where, I could certainly farm out my labor for significantly less money. And a lot of companies do that. Right now we're small enough to where I can say pretty wholeheartedly that we're going to probably stay, onshore. We're going to be an American company, and we're going to use guys that live and work here. I've been asked... What?
Yeah. We're actually going in commercial break. So just hold that thought. We're gonna
we'll continue that.
We'll continue that on the other end of the break. This is Sharpen the Axe on EnterTalk Radio. We'll be right back, and we're gonna get to hear some of these guitars. Yes. So stay tuned. Be right back.
Are you serious about your music? Are you ready to run with the big dogs? The experts at Pitbull Audio have the gear to get you into the game. From leading manufacturers like Mesa Boogie, Fender, Pioneer, and American Audio. To sound your best, you need the best. Pitbull Audio can deliver in rehearsal, on stage, and into the big time. Dropping beats, shredding guitar, or making the crowd roar. Whatever you dream, Pitbull Audio can help make it happen. We are Pitbull Audio. We want you to play it loud. PitbullAudio.com.
This is Jackie Bertoni from Jackie's Groove. Come join me weekly on my journey through the music business as I take you behind the velvet rope, interviewing industry notables such as Al Di Meola, Michael McDonald, and Al Jarreau, to name but a few. Listen to their stories on being in the studios recording #1 hits and onto the stages throughout the globe. Allow me to be your music historian. You can hear me live every Monday at 2 p.m. and every Wednesday at 12 noon Pacific Standard Time or 24/7 on jackiesgroove.com. Ready to get your groove on?
Hi, I'm Tim Dolbear, the host of Sound Experience on EnterTalk Radio. Each week, I talk with top professional audio engineers, producers, musicians, and the manufacturers that make the tools that we use in the studio each and every day. From capturing the perfect take to mastering your final release, and the tools and how the pros use them, we are going to dive deep into their process and learn from their experience. I look forward to you joining us each week on Sound Experience with me, your host, Tim Dolbear.
Hey, it's Tracy Smith
and Beth Venus
of Girls Talk Rock right here on the EnterTalk Radio Network.
Every Wednesday at 5 p.m. Pacific.
Okay, Beth, they know that, but we want you to know that the industry pro's choice is Silver Tiger Production.
SDP is a full-service production agency offering sound, lighting, installations, talent buying, staffing, backline equipment rental, and sales. Kapow!
It's everything in the entertainment performance industry. It's all that. SilverTigerProduction.com.
Welcome to Sharpen the Axe. Explore the bleeding edge of guitar and bass gear. Discover a sound uniquely your own and cut through the noise. With your hosts, Eric Lucero and Paul Berezetsky.
Welcome back to Sharpen the Axe. You were in the middle of a thought. Kevin, you want to finish up?
No, sorry about that. Yeah, that commercial break. I got to pay the bills. But, regarding, why guitars, finely crafted guitars cost so much.
Yeah.
When you look at labor from, let's just look at a Stratocaster, for instance. If you look at what a dollar was valued at in 1954 and what a Stratocaster went for in 1954, it's about $350.
Yeah.
So if you look at that in 2016 dollars, that's about $2,600. If you just, everything being the same, right?
Yeah.
Inflation, all that stuff. So, where we're at in guitars, when you can go in and get a Squire for $99, whatever the heck it is, right?
Yeah.
There's just not a lot of, labor dollars that go into that. And, there's not a lot of machining, material. There's corners cut at everything. Corners cut at every corner, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
But when you're talking about the Scrivsons and the Mayones and even us, our guitars aren't inexpensive, but we are handcrafting guitars. It is American hands. Which our labor dollars are more expensive. It truly is what it is, and that's probably where it mostly comes down to on the dollars and cents wise. But then when you take the things that go into a guitar, quality componentry. When you're talking, Mitch from Emerson does all of our pots from us. If you've ever turned an Emerson Pro pot versus just your run-of-the-mill, CTS pot, there's a big difference. The taper is just beautiful. It becomes a usable part of your guitar. Same thing, we use a lot of, new old stock Russian paper and oil capacitors. We use Mitch's capacitors. Original Floyd Rose, hand-wound pickups. You can't replace that type of attention to detail in a guitar and then have it cost $99.
Yeah, I mean, you're paying for craftsmanship. You are paying for someone's time who's not necessarily working on a machine, but might be doing some of this by hand.
A good portion of it by hand.
Yeah, absolutely.
We're one of the companies, and I think a lot of companies do. So we use computer numerically controlled CNC machines to cut our bodies and necks, and then they're all hand finished. It's hand sanding. It's a lot of elbow grease and Advils and stuff like that. Especially for guys that repetitive motion stuff and hand painted using kind of old world old school technology. There's no we're not using any especially on these vintage pieces. It's nitro. This stuff's like $500 a gallon.
Yeah. It's not cheap. Yeah.
And then besides just the raw materials cost to do that in California with the Air Resources Board, and everybody else that is looking at your hazardous waste generators and all these other things. Each one of those impacts, when you have a permit for this and all that other thing, they start impacting the final cost. It all goes into the cost of the guitar. So to kind of just cap that off is when you want to play a finely crafted instrument. those instruments usually come with a higher cost because of some of those things. It's the hand-finished fret ends. It's, all those things.
Do you see yourself, if you were to grow into like a major manufacturer with factories and big workforce and all that, is that even anything something you would want to shoot forward, or would you prefer to kind of keep it small, hands-on? Or if you could, grow to that kind of size, can you kind of how do you translate some of this attention to detail into a larger scale?
I think that in any business, the level of quality is all about managing that, right? So you've got to set that bar real high, and we do. It's like I said, every guitar. Certainly, I touch every guitar, but it's not 100% Kevin crafted. I have a team of guys that give me a hand, but at the same time, growing. I can see where I would want to be in a full-on production facility, but at the same time being able to still utilize the mantra. And I know it's not the most effective way to do it, where one guy builds a guitar kind of thing, right? Mm-hmm. And you move away from that factory essence where it's a production line where you're the guy that does the pickup wiring, you're the guy that does the dressing the fret ends, you're the guy that installs the tuners kind of thing. I'd like to still have it where a guy can impart, or a gal, it doesn't really matter to me, impart their will, their mojo onto that guitar.
Absolutely. Wow, you summarized that pretty well altogether. From the materials to craftsmanship to you have to keep a tight hand on it to keep that quality up, even if you do move up to a large factory sort of scale.
Absolutely, and I think there's a handful of guys in the industry that do that really well. Yeah. So we aspire to be thought of in that level of hey, these are just finely crafted, super high quality guitars, and really when you get it in your hand, it helps you play better. Because you're inspired to play. You're like, man, this guitar just feels so great. I want to play things that I don't normally play.
And while we're at it, I have a finely crafted instrument in my hands, and I apologize to the audience ahead of time for the deplorable playing you're about to hear. so why don't you tell us about this? Is the number one?
That is it. So that is my guitar. I keep that around as a
that is the iconic Deplorer model.
Yeah, that is the one that kicked off what we do as a company. I was incredibly inspired when FMIC came out with the Gilmour, as I'm a huge Gilmour fan. So I wanted to get one, but quite frankly, my wallet said no. And who had my wallet? My wife. So yeah,
that might explain something. Yeah.
So yeah, we did that one, and it came out really well. You're literally playing the prototype of what we do. So
right on, and she feels absolutely wonderful.
Guess we could have tuned a little better, huh?
Well, still nonetheless sounding great, but. I wasn't kidding when I said just terrible playing, but so why don't you tell us about the qualities on this one right here, because this is the Dark Star essentially. So you have your 3 single coils here, and you have pretty much kind of like a blender circuit switch on there, right?
Yeah, it is the Dark Side. Obviously a nod to Pink Floyd's famous Dark Side of the Moon album. Guitar inspired by David Gilmour's Black Strat. With this one, it's a 2-piece alder body with center seam. This particular one is a burst under a black, as his is.
There's a little bit of that. I don't know if the camera can see that poking out on the back right there on that top horn. You can see a little bit of that burst underneath.
Yeah, if you look real closely, you can see it through a couple of the little bumps and bruises that were delicately and lovingly applied in the relicking process. Then in this particular one, I had met a guy. I think it was on the gear page. One of the guitar nerdy things that I do in Saturday night when most people are out. I'm surfing the gear page or whatever. Checking out stuff. I ran into a fella in Manliest Pickups, and we started kind of an offline chat, and he sent me these pickups, and it's just fantastic sounding. And ended up forging some other relationship in business, like I mentioned earlier. But this particular guitar has it, and has those manliest pickups. And the switch in there is on David's guitars. I basically refer to it as neck adder. So when you're in the bridge middle position, if you flip the little toggle, you're going to get the neck pickup mixed in there with you.
Give it go ahead.
Are those pickups voiced similarly to what's in Gilmour's guitar?
Here again, it was another one of those long tone conversations. So I'm really looking for something that'll do this, that, and and you throw all these. I want this woody tone. I want it to be open and airy, and blah blah blah. So you get all these kind of things like that going, and so a little bit hotter on the bridge pickup to kind of replicate that SSL5 in Gilmour's guitar. Yeah, really, we've got the shortened 4 1/4-inch bar that the Callahan does for us.
I was noticing that. I was a little confused at first. Just what?
Yeah, it's not a miniature. It's really the Gilmour spec trim,
which does great for that right there. It sits right in the palm, nice and easy. Sounding. I definitely dig this thing a lot.
Is that with the neck adder on or off?
Oh, that's off. So this is we'll do a quick switch. This is off, and now on. Off, on.
Yep. It really goes nice when you get into some of those soaring kind of fully affected. It's just not a tone that you hear very often. Bridge and neck together on a Strat-style guitar. So when you start playing some of those kind of Gilmour-esque kind of lines, that's when it really just pops. So,
and it's conveniently located. I mean, just even a pinky
right
there,
flick and you're in, man.
So let's check out one of the other ones here. How about tell us about the white one in the back, if we could switch that over.
This is my good friend Mike Ruggiero guitar. He's an iconic endorsed artist, and the guitar is actually in the shop getting a little bit more hot rodding. So Mike plays in a band called Dark Lumen, and then let me grab that for you.
Awesome, thank you.
He also uses the guitar in another cover band. So he was talking to me one day, and he's like, I love this guitar for what I do in the one band, but I want it to be able to do a little bit more. So we're going to put a push pot on the volume and split the humbuckers so we can get a little bit of that stratty tone out of here. This guitar's got some David Allen Dirty Cats in it, and it's just a naughty hot rod guitar.
In the rosewood fretboard, rock maple neck, you said?
Yes, sir.
Nice. Yeah, I'm not on my A game today, but still, this thing feels fantastic. And it's like, is this available in like hardtail too? These Sandemus, if someone wanted to get one like that, or do they?
You could probably special order. I don't do them right now. They're very much meant to kind of be that period inspired piece. So it's Floyd Rose all day long on those. So we do the SD1, SD2, SD3, and to differentiate those is quite simple. As I was telling Paul a little bit earlier, I'm a fairly simple guy. So when people are talking to me about my models, I like to be able to remember what the heck we're doing, because we've got, I think right now we're up to 50 different necks that we're doing just in the S style.
Really?
Yeah, it's crazy.
50 different neck profiles.
Right. Yeah, between compound radius and back profiles and neck material, between rosewood differentiating. Each one of those is a different part number for us. So yeah, every one of those is a little bit different. And then you throw in the mix, whether it's got a Floyd shelf or not. Just next thing you know, I'm like, man, now all of a sudden we're making 50 different necks. So
yeah,
but yeah, really cool. But the SD1 single humbucker volume knob, that's it.
Right on.
Balls to the wall kind of guitar. This guitar, volume knob and a pickup selector. I will do this with a tone knob in it as well. I just got to kind of know going up front. But as standard, it's just a volume knob. It's just, here again, a hot rod guitar.
And now for those prospective customers out there, I mean, how far can you go with your custom shop, or how far are you willing to go at the moment with
some of those things, as far as switching configuration and wiring, those are things that really don't impact what we're doing as far as hard parts, as far as, when a guitar, most all the holes I do afterwards, I've got some templates that I run. So, here again, they're repeatable. They can certainly be done on the machine, but I like to leave that to the end. So, if I have that body sitting on the shelf, an SD2 body, and you go, hey, I'd really like to run a standard Strat switching configuration. So we'll throw the 5-way blade switch in there and throw you, a volume and 2 tones. It's so those things. But, as far as, we don't do just custom made to order one-off guitars, at this point. Maybe one day when we get a little bit bigger and we can afford to have one guy that, that can work with an artist or a potential customer, whoever it is, and say, okay, well, we're going to spec it out all the way to the nth degree. For me right now, that's just not where we're at. We've got a pretty broad product line as it is, so. I would say that just about, once I've got something we didn't talk about. We've got the Evolution Pro that will probably be Summer NAMM. I'm hoping for in Nashville. If not, we've got a lot of stuff to do because I've still got the whole bass thing going. But the Evolution Pro is our ultra modern 24 fret 6 and 7 string guitar. Full actives, it'll be the super badass guitar. So
nice for the modern players out there.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, in a cold room, cold hands. I can't even think of what to play. I've been so focused on the interview.
Play Cold Shot.
Yeah, I do not know any Stevie. I am an awful.
And that's a Cold Shot,
players.
babe.
Yeah, right. The pickups on this one again?
Those are David Allen Dirty Cats.
Right on, sweet.
Yeah, they're really really nice sounding. I mean, you get that thing into a full stack. Mike plays through a Sir PT, and it's just a killer rig, man.
Right on. Let's see what else we got to try around here. Paul, you want to switch it up and have you play? Yeah.
Let me try the Sultan.
Sweet.
All right, Sultan's the first one in line for you over there. Quick little guitar switch here. Hold on.
Exactly. Yeah.
None of us are roadies.
Here you want.
Is that
over
gonna
there?
reach me or
Here, why don't you come over here? And,
okay, I'll go over there.
Yeah, let's get a much better player, a more prepared player than myself to test these out. So tell us about the difference on real quick on what makes a Sultan different from the others. It's the Mark Knopfler.
It's really just an inspired piece. It's that early 60s, 61, 62 style Strat, which we do the 62. This one's just definitely in the vein of Knopfler's guitar.
Go ahead.
Yeah. This one? Go ahead. There we are. Awesome.
So, and in this one, we had we were playing the one-piece maple neck. We've got the rosewood board here, a little bit thicker profile in that vein of the 60s style guitar.
Yeah.
And just a super, super awesome Fiesta Red.
Yeah.
I don't know how well it's showing up on the camera, but this, when people see the thing, man, they just crap their pants. You're like, that's what Fiesta Red's supposed to look like.
Right. Yeah.
And this guitar's got, here again, Emerson Electronics, this David Allen True 62s in this guitar. And as you can hear, it's a very, very usable bridge pickup. So for me, a lot of times, and it's one of the things when I'm doing a 3-single guitar, that the bridge be usable, because a lot of times it's like an ice pick in your eyeball.
Yeah,
that bridge pickup on a 3-single guitar, and in talking with the fellas that help me out with the pickups, I'm like, man, we've got to be able to play the guitar, Yeah. So that you just hit it over there on the.
Playing a bunch of Floyd on one of the previous shows.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah,
you can never go wrong.
Which also a great pairing that if anyone comes to Pitbull should try is the Dark Side we have there through the Keeley Dark Side, and just have some fun. We even have at the moment the high watt Little D, the David Gilmour.
There you go.
Come on in and just go.
Yeah, I was telling Eric a little bit earlier. I'm gonna try to message Robert tonight and see if we can't put something together where we can do the Keeley Dark Side along with an iconic Dark Side, and maybe we put a package together and do some kind of special.
Absolutely.
Through Pitbull.
I would love to do that. I think it'd be a popular thing.
But before that, because I have talked to Robert numerous times, like, I need one of these in my personal arsenal.
Yeah.
And I know he's just going gangbusters with those things. The response to those has just been amazing.
Yeah, it's been pretty awesome. There we go.
I was like,
is it in there? Is it in there?
Yes.
This is how we should do these shows. I just know the tech side. Paul actually knows how to play.
Nice.
There we go.
Very cool.
So here's the thing I want to blow by you, because one of the responses that I get, I want you to unplug that one, and I want you to plug in the SD3, because I get a lot, because it's an intimidating looking guitar, because a lot of people, it's 3 pickups, it's got a little bit more switching.
I'm not good enough to play that thing.
Well, you know what it is? It's like, it just looks intimidating. But this guitar is essentially the same neck and middle pickup as you were just playing. And then when you split the humbucker, you're essentially have the same tonal capabilities. So go back to the same setting you were just playing Sultans with.
Damn.
Yeah, sounds very similar.
So in this one, we use David's True 62s in the neck and middle, and then his P51 in the bridge. And, so you're going to get a really nice vintage voice, single coil in the neck and middle.
I didn't split it before.
Yeah.
Yeah, so
now I'm being deplorable.
But even though it's a hot rod looking guitar, it's a very manageable guitar to play. It's, and like I said, I'm going to say this again. I keep a lot of guitars for myself. So this is my shop guitar. This is always, my amps are always on and in the shop, and this guitar is always out. I've got another prototype that I can't talk about that I keep in there pretty regularly, but it's actually out on the road with an artist somewhere right now.
Oh, right on.
Neck one's really juicy.
Yeah. It's not over bassy at all. It's just still remaining articulate. I like it.
It's a very playable guitar, and like I say, with the 5-way switch, you get the standard kind of switching that you'd expect. And in this one, in 1 and 2, you're going to get 1 and 2 naturally splits the humbucker anyway. When you go to 2, and it's kind of a cool little thing. But it's a very, very playable guitar. But people see Floyd Rose, recessed Floyd Rose, and just all of a sudden once you get to know a Floyd Rose, it's just like it's like that long-time friend that you've had that some people meet and they're just like, how can you be friends with that dude? He's so obnoxious. But once you get used to working on a Floyd and setting them up, they're really quite easy, and then it's kind of a set it and forget it kind of thing. You know. Unless, of course, you break a string, and then just all hell breaks loose. But.
Yeah. Dude, you're not bringing Floyd to this party, are you?
Yeah. Right. Is he got to come
that
along?
That guy again?
Floyd got to come.
But then to kind of give you an idea of how the voicing is a little bit different with what I do with David Allen versus what I do with Rob at Arcane. Texas Flood has a set of Arcane 61 experience, but Rob winds them a little bit different for me. Here again with those words. So we do this both ways. Is your guys the one you have at Pitbull? Is it a left hand trim and a
yeah? Which I love that you do the Stevie Ray Vaughan mod.
So I do it both ways. It's it's available for order either way. With a lot of guys can't get over having the bar kind of at their wrist.
Yeah.
You see where Paul's at. So it's a little odd having it there.
But they could order it with standard right-hand trim if they wanted, right?
And if you put a right-hand bar in that left-hand trim, it's kind of cool.
Yeah?
Yeah, but I don't do it that way because, obviously the right-hand and left-hand trims come with their own bars. But it's cool. He's telling you to scoot over a little bit.
Oh.
That's code in radio land for scoot back over into the frame. So go to the neck pick over in that one, Paul. Where I really notice a difference in these two pickups is when we go super high gain. I was playing through some fantastic Wagners with a friend of mine the other day, Prashant Asani, and he's got some of the most amazing gear. I see the flashing light.
Oh, it's coming up on there, yeah. So we IconicCustomGuitars.com. Come on into Pitbull Audio if you're in San Diego, or check them out on our website. And anything you want to leave our listeners with?
Hey, this was great fun, man. I could sit and talk about guitars and amps and effects all night long. I just really want to thank you guys both and all of it, for having me here. This has been really cool.
This is great. Thanks for coming and bringing all these gorgeous guitars here.
Yeah,
absolutely. You're welcome.
And we'll definitely have you come back in with the basses sometime, and we'll go check you out at NAMM and see what you're doing there.
Yeah, look forward to seeing you guys all at NAMM. If you're going to be there, stop by, say hi. I'm hoping you guys will come by with the cameras and everything, and we can do some stuff. And we'll work on that deal with Robert Keeley.
It'll be a fun bundle. I'll even throw in a deal on the high watt if you really want the Gilmour sound down.
Yeah, you really want the full Gilmour experience. We'll get it hooked up at Pitbull Audio.
Well, thanks again, everyone, for tuning in. This has been Sharpen the Axe. I'm Eric Lucero. Paul is putting one of the guitars down right now, and our guest has been Kevin Proctor of Iconic Custom Guitars.
Thank you guys again.
Thank you, man.
You know what's all around you every waking moment of your life? Marketing. You're choking on it. I'm Scott Robertson, and when it comes to strategic PR, branding, and marketing, I've seen it all. And actually, I'm still seeing it because bad marketing never sleeps. Join me each week on May the Best Brand Win, right here on EnterTalk Radio, and learn how to make the marketing for your brand unforgettable.
Hi, this is Tim Dolbear from Eclectica Studios. I'm a full-time mixing and recording engineer. I work with Grammy winners, labels, and indie artists, using state-of-the-art digital mixing and restoration tools and the very best in analog gear. Really, though, it's my ability to bring tracks to life and fulfill your vision for your music. This has made me sought after by producers and artists worldwide. So spend your time working on music and not chasing a mix down a rabbit hole. Go to timdolbear.com and check out our free one-song mix offer.
Are you serious about your music? Are you ready to run with the big dogs? The experts at Pitbull Audio have the gear to get you into the game. From leading manufacturers like Mesa Boogie, Fender, Pioneer, and American Audio. To sound your best, you need the best. Pitbull Audio can deliver in rehearsal, on stage, and into the big time. Dropping beats, shredding guitar, or making the crowd roar. Whatever you dream, Pitbull Audio can help make it happen. We are Pitbull Audio. We want you to play it loud. PitbullAudio.com.
This is Jackie Bertoni from Jackie's Groove. Come join me weekly on my journey through the music business as I take you behind the velvet rope, interviewing industry notables such as Al Di Meola, Michael McDonald, and Al Jarreau, to name but a few. Listen to their stories on being in the studios recording #1 hits and onto the stages throughout the globe. Allow me to be your music historian. You can hear me live every Monday at 2 p.m. and every Wednesday at 12 noon Pacific Standard Time or 24/7 on jackiesgroove.com. Ready to get your groove on?